We've started a clinical trial on March 16 in the US under the leadership of Dr. Tony Fauci at the NIH. 45 healthy subjects. We have already dosed the 25 microgram, 100 microgram, and we are now dosing the highest dose, the 250 microgram. Things are going well so far, so we look forward to the data.
Meg Tirrell's Vaccines Day today. Oh, sorry, Becky. Just wanted to continue with that question. You know, your Vaccines Day today, you're also highlighting some data from other vaccines in your pipeline, including one for Zika. Tell us, what can be determined about how well the COVID-19 vaccine may work based on the results you're seeing in other trials that might be more advanced?
Yes, good morning, Meg. It's a great question. So as you know, with Moderna, we have a platform based on messenger RNA technology. And so we basically use the same chemistry to make our messenger RNA molecules, and we use the same chemistry for the delivery of our message when you inject intramuscular. And so the read across, I think, comes in many dimensions. One is safety. As you know, with vaccines, safety is priority number one because we give vaccine to healthy subjects. And so we believe that the safety profile should be pretty similar to what we have seen so far across the platform. We have those more than 1,000 humans across the world. And so we are optimistic about the safety of the vaccine for COVID-19, mRNA-1273. On the efficacy side of things, the key question, of course, as always, is do you make antibodies, and are the antibodies neutralizing? We had the chance to have worked on MERS, the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, with the NIH, with Dr. Tony Fauci's team over the last 18 months, 24 months. And we had good animal data in that setup. So when you look at the totality of the data, I would say we are cautiously optimistic. It's biology, so we have to look at the data, but we're cautiously optimistic.
Right. And of course, this is a brand new technology that there are no vaccines based on mRNA yet, no drugs based on mRNA that have reached the market. And this is a brand new virus, too. And you're moving just at lightning speed in terms of these trials for COVID-19. Tell us, you're thinking about potentially having a vaccine ready for high-risk groups like healthcare workers in the fall. How much data, how long do you need to be able to make sure that this really is safe, and in how many people? How long does that take to be able to figure out?
Yes, that's a great question. That's a dialogue that we're going to have, of course, with the regulators like the FDA. So our plan, if you want, is not to wait for the phase 1 full data set to start a phase 2, which is what you would typically do. Our goal is as soon as we have the safety data of the phase 1, which is 45 subjects, is to move right away into the phase 2, which will be several hundred subjects. And then once we're going to have the immunogenicity data from the phase 1 study in early summer, our goal will be to kind of pick up the dose for potentially starting a phase 3 as early as late summer, early fall. And so what we're trying to do is to get as big a database as we can to understand the safety and the immunogenicity of the study. We're also potentially going to do some additional studies outside the US just to be able to expand in parallel the safety database that we have on the vaccine.
Stephane, what is the next thing that we should be watching? How quickly do you think a vaccine can actually be developed that would be mass produced? I think that's the big question as we start to wonder when we can reopen society after this lockdown because of coronavirus.
Yes, that's a question that everybody has, Becky. So I think, again, with vaccine, safety is priority number one. Given you're going to give those vaccines to people that are not sick, you want to make sure, of course, you hurt nobody. And so, as we've said in the past, and again, Dr. Tony Fauci has said the same thing with the vaccine we are partnering on with the NIH, is that the earliest we could have an approved vaccine, we believe, is in 2021. What we are working with the authorities is to understand what can be done potentially later this year, assuming the virus might come back in the fall, to be able to protect population at risk. And this is a dialogue that we're going to have with the proper U.S. government agencies like the FDA, the CDC, the NIH, and so on.
We had Bill Gates with us last week, and he brought up the idea that a vaccine is particularly tricky when it comes to this coronavirus because it has a great impact on older people. And he said, in general, vaccines are less effective on older people. They tend to be things that are in smaller doses, and the real herd immunity comes because you have so many younger people who are taking the vaccinations. He said that one thing that's tricky in this vaccination will be getting the dose high enough so that it is effective for the older people who are most affected and most impacted by coronavirus, while at the same time making sure that it's not lethal for younger people who are taking it, particularly infants, maybe pregnant mothers. How have you been going about trying to tackle that problem?
Yeah, so we have a similar view, and this is because as people age, your immune system just gets weaker. And so if you look at our phase 1 study, which is in healthy adults, not in the elderly yet, it goes up to 250 microgram per human. With this technology, in our cancer vaccine setting, we have used doses up to 1 milligram, so 4 times higher dose than what we're currently trying in Seattle. And so we believe we have a lot of room to maneuver. It could not be impossible that you potentially use a different dose between healthy adults and healthy elderly, if need be, to have a higher dose in the elderly. And also you might have more frequent boosts. Again, because the immune system wanes over time as you age, you could see a world where an healthy adult might need a boost every few years, every 10 years. We don't know yet. It's too new of a virus to know for sure. But maybe you need an annual boost for the elderly. So this we'll have to explore and understand as we learn more about the virus and as we learn more in the vaccine with clinical data.